Well, if I'm going to be starkly confessional, I have passed the age of 60, and sometimes I feel it a little bit, and other times I don't. The times I don't is mostly in my imagination. But I heard a phrase recently, and it was the phrase, the Silver Tsunami. And the Silver Tsunami, nobody knows who's actually come up with this phrase, but it describes the aging population across the world. I have a few stats which I've copied down, and of course I can't read because I haven't got my specs on, but anyway. 1 in 6 people globally are going to be over the age of 60 by 2030. And by 2050 there'll be 1.5 billion people in the world over the age of 65. So what's emerging here is that once upon a time to be older was a reasonably unusual thing. But statistically, to be older is going to become increasingly common. Nobody knows well how this is going to result for society, but in an aging society, certain things are going to have to change, aren't they? So, for example, I've noticed there's an increasing trend on YouTube for people using titles like "What to Do When You're Over 40." So I guess I'm only 20 years late to the party there. But what about what to do after you reach the age of 60? Because reaching the age of 60 is becoming an increasingly common thing. Hundreds of thousands of people every year are reaching pensionable age or the age of 60. And they're starting to invest their cash into all sorts of things. They're starting to realize their assets and their investments over a lifetime of saving or spending or putting their money into their mortgages. And they're going to become an increasingly powerful economic powerhouse. So anyway, I've been looking at the way that YouTube's going, and I've decided that one of the things I'm going to focus on for YouTube is discussing concerns for people who are reaching the third stage of their life. Instead of hiding from it, and instead of being ashamed of it, I think it's time that we start to embrace our age, because increasingly we're going to become a powerful factor in society. So, going forward, I'd like to discuss some of the concerns and issues that affect people who are in the grey tsunami. And I'd like to also use this channel to promote the notion that aging gracefully is not necessarily a good idea. When I think about what my expectations for life are, how I feel about life, how I dress, how I act, the things I'm interested in, the hobbies, my levels of fitness, my dietary choices, the music I like, I don't really consider myself to be an archetypical old person. And I don't think I'm alone in that. So what I'd like to suggest is that if you are over 60, this is not a time to step off the gas. This is a time to put your foot down on the pedal a little bit, because all things being equal, you've got a good few years ahead of you, and it'd be a good idea to enjoy them. Let's not succumb to the notion, to the ageist notion, that we should simply curl up and die just because we've reached a certain stage in our life. Let the young people be the young people, but let's not have how we're going to be as older people dictated to us by the youngsters. Let's face it, they've made quite a few bad decisions just as we did when we were younger. And I certainly wouldn't be taking advice as a 60-year-old from the 18-year-old me. Not all of my advice, anyway. So, go well, and we'll talk about this more. See you later.